Translation. The sages said, who are these two persons who have developed such a discordant mentality, even though they are posted in the service of the Lord, in the highest position, and are expected to have developed the same qualities as the Lord? How are these two persons living in Vaikuntha? Where is the possibility of an enemy's coming into this kingdom of God? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no enemy. Who could be envious of him? Probably these two persons are impostors, therefore they suspect others to be like themselves. Feedback. The difference between the inhabitants of a Vaikuntha planet and those of a material planet is that in Vaikuntha, all the residents engage in the service of the Lord himself and are equipped with all his good qualities. It has been analyzed by great personalities that when a conditioned soul is liberated and becomes a devotee, about 79% of all the good qualities of the Lord develop in his person. Therefore, in the Vaikuntha world, there is no question of enmity between the Lord and the residents. Here in this material world, the citizens may be inimical to the chief executives or heads of state. But in Vaikuntha, there is no such mentality. One is not allowed to enter Vaikuntha unless he has completely developed the good qualities. The basic principle of goodness is to accept subordination to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sages, therefore, were surprised to see that the two doormen who checked them from entering the palace were not exactly like the residents of Vaikuntha Loka. It may be said that a doorman's duty is to determine who should be allowed to enter the palace and who should not. But that is not relevant in this matter because no one is allowed to enter the Vaikuntha planets unless he has developed 100% his mentality of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. No enemy of the Lord can enter Vaikuntha Loka. The Kumaras concluded that the only reason for the doormen's checking them was that the doormen themselves were impostors. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shrishtam Anamapi Shachiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagajam Urupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhava Sham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagraja Tam Sahagana Raghuna Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tina Smarane Hoy Vigna Vinashan Anayashe Hoy Nija Vanchita Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Several important points in this purport, as in most of Srila Prabhupada's purport. Some of the purports are simply references. This verse is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or something like that, which is not unimportant, but not of any specific philosophical import. Such purports are seen in Srila Prabhupada's commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Difference, in the purport, the first two words that Srila Prabhupada uses are the difference. The difference between the inhabitants of a Vaikuntha planet and those of a material planet is that in Vaikuntha all the residents engage in the service of the Lord Himself. What's the need of the word Himself there? It might appear to be redundant. All the residents engage in the service of the Lord. All the residents engage in the service of the Lord Himself. So why say Himself? It seems redundant. Maybe you won't catch that because none of you are that much deeply conversant with English. But from the what shall we say, grammatical or semantic perspective, the word Himself doesn't add anything. The clause is complete without it. But by saying Himself, it emphasizes direct, conscious service to the Lord, because we know from Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mamavatma anuvartante manusya partha savashaha. Everyone is on my path. Everyone follows my path, Krishna says. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have also Keho mane, keho namane, shabtar das. Some acknowledge it, others do not. But everyone is His servant. Ekale Ishvara Krishna ar sab bhritya. One ruler is there, Krishna. And everyone is His servant. So everyone is servant means everyone's serving Him. But there is a difference between the material world and the spiritual world. If you say in the material world everyone is serving Him also, in one sense, because no one can be apart from Krishna. But in the spiritual world there is direct, conscious service to the Supreme Lord. Whereas in this material world, direct service, most people do not engage, or most living beings, first of all, they're not even in human form. So the human form affords the opportunity of being religious, having a consciousness of God. In the lower species, not. There are living beings in lower species who can be devotees also, or can engage in the service of the Lord. They can be engaged, just like the elephants who are engaged in the temple service of the Lord. Or in the Varnashram system, there's indirect service to the Lord. If the whole consciousness from the ruler down is that of service to Vishnu, then even the bulls who are plowing the field to produce grains for offering to the Lord, they're indirectly engaged in the service of the Lord. Janananda Goswami wrote a book, Animals in Krishna Consciousness, showing how some animals, like dogs, cows, a chicken in one case, they were all devotees. One chicken used to come daily for Mangalarti in Kuala Lumpur. It's hot throughout the year there. I don't think the daytime temperature, the maximum daytime temperature is never less than 30 throughout the year in most of Malaysia. So the full doors would be fully open in Mangalarti, and a chicken would just come every morning, just on time. So it is possible to have Krishna consciousness even in lower species, but it's not very common. It's especially the opportunity of the human form of life, which is rare. And many people, they worship God in various ways. In this tract of land, which is presently known as Croatia, previously everyone believed in God, pretty much, and went to church every Sunday. They would have in their house crucifix, maybe a little altar for praying. So God consciousness is there, but it's not the same as Vaikuntha. Because in Vaikuntha, the residents of Vaikuntha, they serve the Supreme Lord with a full consciousness that I'm serving Him because He should be served. Whereas in the material world, most people who are religious, even if they're very religious, they're praying for a future happy life in heaven, with the concept of heaven being a place where I enjoy myself. Or they're praying for present worldly happiness, the sense of service to the Supreme Lord, simply because He should be served. Being so much attracted to His qualities that you simply want to serve Him. That is unlikely. Actually, on a wide scale, it's unlikely outside the Vaishnava Dharma, which traditionally was taught in India, where the qualities of the Supreme Lord are regularly discussed, especially in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. There is much emphasis on His Bhaktavatsalya, His loving affection for His devotees, for everyone, but especially for His devotees. And then a discussion of His pastimes, how He delivers His devotees. We have in the Bhagavatam and in the Vishnu Purana and other Puranas narrations of the Supreme Lord. They're all in relation to His devotees. How He saves Gajendra, how He saves Prahlad, how He saves the Pandavas and Parikshit, how He protects Ambarish Maharaj. All the pastimes, they show His lovingness toward His devotees. So it may be expected that God loves us, but how does He manifest that? Without knowledge of how He manifests that, we may think that His love is manifest as just giving us a nice house and a nice car and all the same kind of things that materialistic people are interested in. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam, Shikshartam, for the sake of teaching devotional service to Himself, which is characterized or accompanied by non-attachment to this world and knowledge. Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddha Yastamaham Prapadya. Krishna has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach this, being an ocean of mercy. Therefore we surrender to Him. We're being attracted to His qualities, we surrender to Him. And this is Bhakti Vedanta. At least previously, when people thought of Vedanta, they thought of Vairagya Vidya. The followers of Vedanta, generally they're presumed, wrongly, but it's a common misconception, to be the followers of Shankaracharya. When I say wrongly, it's presumed because it's not only Shankara who's who has taught Vedanta. After him, Ramanuja, Madhva, these two acharyas are, well, these three, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, these three are considered, up to the present day, by scholars who study Vedanta. These are considered the three main commentators. And in their traditions, maybe one reason for that is that in these three traditions, the tradition is very rich in Vedanta study, further development of the exegeses given by the commentaries, given by the original acharyas in their sampradaya. They have a tradition of Vedanta discussion and disputation. Shankara is often Vedanta is linked with Shankara, but we have Bhakti Vedanta. This title might seem strange to people who think that Vedanta is beyond Bhakti. If you meet a Mayavadi sannyasi, an actual Mayavadi, someone who's studied Vedanta in a sampradaya, they'll be happy to see you. Oh, it's very nice, you're chanting the holy name, very good, very nice, very good. Their understanding is it's good for you at your level. And then if you continue this, eventually in some birth you can come up to my level, which is the platform of jnana, of knowing that I am you and you are me and we are all together. It's all one. Kevala Advaita, only oneness. So that is their idea. So that they have Vairagya and they have Vidya, these Vedantis, as they're known. They have Vairagya and they have detachment from the world, yes, up to the present day. They're very strict in following their principles. The Mayavadi sannyasis, more strict than the Vaishnava sannyasis are. And in many ways, they're very much concerned with rules and regulations and following them. And Vidya, very learned. To be a sannyasi in the Shankara line, it means one should be very learned in Vedanta, which means Vedanta Sutras and Upanishads, and also knowledge of the broader Vedas. It's huge, huge topics. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur analyzed the word Vedanti, because in Bengali that's pronounced Vedanti. And Be is a prefix used in Bengali and Hindi, imported from Urdu. It's not coming from Sanskrit. The word Vedanta is a Sanskrit word, but Be means without. Just like there are words like Beisharam, shameless, is a common word. So Vedanti, which means without teeth, you'll find in Prabhupada's purport. And have you remember seeing that? Srila Prabhupada quotes that. Vedanti, these kind of Vedantis means they're without teeth. They didn't really get a grasp of the topic they're supposed to be discussing, because they don't have a spirit of service to the Lord. They think, I am the Lord. So they're not qualified to go to Vaikuntha. So there's a little discussion of the first proposition in this purport. It starts with the difference. There is a difference. The difference is very important. Because again, coming to the Mayavadis, they propagate no difference. We in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, we are trained in understanding Achintya Bheda Bhed. Inconceivable difference and non-difference. But the Kevala Advaitavadis say no difference. Abheda, or more commonly said Advaita. So they have a difficult time trying to explain that, well, it surely seems that there are differences. Because when I eat, your body doesn't get nourished. I see you as different, I hear you as different from me. So the difference is manifest everywhere. So they talk about this Vyavaharik Satya. It appears to be truth, but it's only conventional. It's not really. Like it's a misunderstanding. Like the silver in an oyster shell, it may appear that there's some silver, but it's not actually silver. Or you may, it's a misunderstanding. Anyway, there's so many points could be discussed. But we're not going to go to Vaikuntha if we maintain any attitude except that of service to the Lord Himself. That's the point. The many religionists, they want to serve, because they have the idea of service to God. Actually, I didn't hear the idea of serving God very much when I was raised in a Catholic family. My mother was quite religious, so she tried to make us all good Catholics. So there's a lot about praying to God, but serving God, this concept of serving God, I didn't hear this. Praying to God, yes, that you should do. But serving God, how can you serve God? What? Even the idea may seem strange. He's so far, He's so distant. He has everything. How can we serve Him? So these are valid points. He's so far, yes, but He's Goloka eva nivasatya akhila atma bhutaha. He is far away in the spiritual world, yet He's situated in the heart of every living being. So He's far and near. Contradictory? Well, it would be in the case of you and me. I am sitting here in Zagreb. I am far from Delhi, in India. Krishna is also here in Zagreb, and He's also in Delhi. That is possible, achintya, by His achintya shakti, by His inconceivable potencies. And although He is full in everything, He accepts service from His devotees. He doesn't need anything, but He accepts service from His devotees, because He's a person. The very understanding of Vaikuntha belies the impersonalistic understanding that the highest attainment is to merge into oneness. But even if you say highest, there's a difference, isn't there? Highest, lowest, in between. Qualities, those who are in the spiritual world, they have the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Not quantity, but quality. So devotees are supposed to have all good qualities. It's possible to have all good qualities when we are free from personal desire. Nowadays we hear a lot about emotions, right? We hear so much talk about emotions. Yeah, you're micro-aggressing me, micro-aggressive to me. You have to consider people's emotions. But in Vedantic discourse, which we are involved in, this discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam is Vedantic discourse. There is consideration of desire. First, there is consideration of desire. Material desire should be made zero. Spiritual desire, the desire to serve Krishna, that should fully replace material desire. Then the emotions. Rasa comes from emotions when we're free from material desire. Then there is a question of purified emotions with purified desires. Desire and emotion are intricately interlinked. I like someone because they fulfill my desire. I dislike someone because they act contrary to my desire. So we keep ourselves in the center and our emotions follow from that. That's why we're told, you should be nice to people. Then they'll be happy. Which is not necessarily true. Sometimes you try to be nice to people and then it doesn't make them happy. It may be happy. It may be true. But we have to know philosophically, again talking about Vedanta, what actual happiness means. The child is crying. Give him a chocolate. That will make him happy. Maybe. But if we train the children not to have chocolates, that will make them happier in the long term. That is consideration of praya and shreya. Something that we want immediately. Immediately makes me happy. But if we can learn to live without indulging our desires, that's why tapasa brahmacharyena shamena cha damena cha. Learn how to be able to control our minds so that we don't chocolate and immediately we're caught. Immediately we don't have any idea that I can refuse this. I can act on a higher platform than simply succumbing to desires. So training in austerity, brahmacharya, this will help people to be happy on a higher platform, a platform that is conducive to spiritual advancement. Whereas if we indulge people's desires, then they'll always be agitated. The modern age is an age of agitating desires. The whole consumer society is developed on agitating people's desires so that they want more and more things. So they work and they earn money and they spend money, and this way the economy develops and no one's happy. Sada samadvigna dhiyo asadgrahat. They're always in anxiety because they've accepted as their goal of life something which is external to their real need. Now we're discussing here Vaikuntha and the qualities for entering Vaikuntha. This is not understandable to people who think that I should be happy. If we put my happiness first, then we'll never be happy. Even psychologists understand this to some extent. They'll say that, well, the way to be happy is to serve others. But then again, it's all on the mundane platform. Feed the poor, do social work. It's all aimed at trying to make people happy in this material world, which is not possible. Therefore, we have to have knowledge. Knowledge is required. Therefore, these classes in the morning, we're reading here how the four Kumaras were shocked when they came to the gates of Vaikuntha and found people who don't represent the Vaikuntha mood. It may happen that people read Srila Prabhupada's books and they come to the Krishna temple expecting that the atmosphere there will be like Vaikuntha, or the residents will be just like this, is described here. They should be selfless, with all good qualities. And sometimes people become surprised when they see, or if they see, that the residents do not behave in a way which is expected of persons who are supposed to be fully pure in heart. So it's a great responsibility to represent Krishna in this world. By this very dress, we represent Krishna in this world. The dress and the tilak. There's much propaganda in the Krishna consciousness movement, especially in the West, of not wearing this Vaikuntha dress. Or sometimes say it's not Vaikuntha dress. There's no description. There's definitely no description in Vaikuntha of people wearing jeans. That's not part of the description. But wearing this dress means one is representing Vaikuntha. It's a great responsibility. And we can expect, if we don't live up to that, then we'll be blamed, just like the two doormen are being blamed, that they're not living up to the proper standard. Yeah. We cannot enter Vaikuntha unless we have developed 100% the mentality of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. 100%. Non-duplicity, it's mentioned here. Non-duplicity. Discordant mentality. The mentality should be fully focused on Krishna. So this hearing and chanting about Krishna and learning about Krishna, learning what it means to be a devotee of Krishna, this is essential. Therefore, we have this program, regular study of Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Here in the verse is mentioned Bhagavat Paricharya, service to the Supreme Lord. There's also Bhagavata Paricharya, service to that which is in relation to the Supreme Lord. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavata Seva, Bhagavat Paricharya. Seva, Paricharya, the words are close synonyms. So in this world, we start to approach Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, through the Bhagavata. This book, Bhagavata, which is non-different from Krishna, and through the devotees, serving the devotees, who represent the Supreme Lord in this world. Hare Krishna. I said I'd speak briefly, so I did. Any question, please? Do you have a mic so the question comes in the recording also?
Not at the moment. Well,
Okay, just speak the question.
I have two questions. You mentioned Krishna's qualities, and Prabhupada said that to love Krishna's qualities is to love Krishna because they are not different. So
I didn't read that in the purport.
that's not in the purport, but
To love Krishna means to love Krishna's qualities. That's what you're saying.
yes.
Well, Krishna's qualities are in one sense non-different from him, just like we can't speak of the sun without the sunshine or the sunshine without the sun. So there's difference and non-difference. But yes, we can say Krishna's qualities are non-different from him. So you're saying that to love Krishna means to love his qualities. We're attracted to Krishna by his qualities. Yeah. Then?
I would guess that not many devotees can enumerate on the spot all the 64 qualities.
You would guess that most devotees cannot enumerate on the spot all his 64 qualities.
So how important is it to meditate on
How important is it to meditate on these qualities? Well, you just said yourself that Krishna and his qualities are non-different. So you meditate on Krishna and automatically you meditate on his qualities. By hearing the Bhagavatam, we hear, just like we'll hear now, how the Supreme Lord comes to where this exchange between the Kumaras and the doorkeepers is going on. And we'll see how he is so apologetic, so supportive of the Kumaras, and at the same time, although ordaining a punishment or accepting the punishment that the Kumaras will give, making an arrangement so that his devotees who have to fall will be rectified. So automatically, if we think about Krishna, he's a person, so he has qualities, so it comes automatically. It's not that we think of kindness, equanimity, magnanimity as qualities separate from Krishna. That's a mistake. To think of qualities separately from Krishna or separately from devotional service. Just like another buzzword these days is gratitude. I always hear about gratitude. All right, gratitude, but gratitude for what? And why? Without reference to Krishna and devotional service, it's mundane. Now, another question?
You mentioned tapasya brahmacharya. Some people try to reduce the effect of tapasya to some dopamine detox that might. We who practice tapasya, we're actually just separating ourselves or abstaining from all sense gratification, and therefore we are happy by some mechanical, chemical process in the brain that it automatically. Everyone who would practice tapasya, he would automatically become happier and more.
So what's the question?
Well, you were speaking about desire, how emotions and desire, how they are connected, and that we need to transfer our desire to the spiritual world. So it's not a mundane level of understanding tapasya.
It's a comment. Is it? Not a question.
How to understand this?
Well, what do you mean how to understand? Be more specific.
Well, there is this mundane level that the people try to...
Yeah, it's a comment you're making. You want me to verify it, whether it's correct or not, or what?
Yes.
Okay, verified. Austerity without reference to Krishna consciousness is not necessarily spiritual. Hiranyakashipu performed austerities. That doesn't make him an advanced yogi in some ways, you could say, but not any closer to Krishna by doing so. Any question? No. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripas. Dante nidaya junatam pariyana bhakta Hey sadhava sakalaya. Parivadatu. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami Maharaj ki
Hare Krishna.